Welcome along to Cadwell Park, the third event of the 2019 Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship. Racing between the Porsche Supersport Boxsters and the Classic 924s about to get underway here. Let's have a look at how things went in the qualifying session this morning. Pole position going to the returning Andrew Porter, a first pole for him. Lee Bowden second from Gary Lawrence and Nick Hull. It's a 924 pole position for returnee Peter Smith, ahead of Hugh Pert and John Jones completing the lineup. Had a big downpour a little while ago here. The track is wet but still drying. Hugh Pert makes a good start to grab the lead on the 924s, and the black 924, that's the returning Pete Smith. Looks like he's got some graphics flapping there on the car. Lee Bowden is up into second position, and Nick Hull in third. Fourth position is Gary Lawrence. Gary reported some gearbox issues in qualifying, which I think have been sorted out now, so we'll see whether he can get the Avery's car up onto a podium position. But Nick Hull's got plenty of experience around here, as Andrew Porter ahead of us heads into the sunshine. Very difficult conditions with a drying line. It's going to make overtaking an absolute premium. Hugh Pert, the 924 championship leader there, with John Jones second in the championship. He's in the red 924, which we'll see going into shot there. This is John Jones' first outing here at Cadwell, so a huge amount for him to learn this weekend, and we're seeing his lap times improve over the qualifying session, which is good. Lee Bowden starting to challenge Andrew Porter, though, who remains out front. The man from Knaresborough leading the race. The onboard shots really do give you a fine perspective of this wonderful Cadwell Park Circuit, very often referred to as a mini Nürburgring. Having been to the Nürburgring, I can tell you that they are two completely separate entities, and I would personally hesitate to make the comparison. But Cadwell is a fantastic circuit, and a real challenge for the drivers, a regular on the calendar with the Porsche Racing Drivers Association. So going through the old hairpin, short straight down into Barn Corner. Here's the battling pair for the race lead in the 924s, and it's very good to see Pete Smith back with us. Let's see what Peter can do on his return. The leading four Supersport Boxsters still very much together. Nick Hull there in third place, Gary Lawrence in fourth, and Lee Bowden chasing Andrew Porter. It's a good confident start from Andrew Porter. We'll see whether Lee can start to make a little bit of progress as the race settles down there. Just working out, you can see some parts of the track drier than others, and with an overhang of trees in certain parts of the circuit, that can make life very, very tricky indeed. Bowden also having to deal with a bit of spray, as you can see, so the advantage very much with the respective class leaders. If we look back, it's still Hugh Pert in the distance, leading the 924s at this stage, and Hugh, I know, is going to welcome the competition this weekend from Peter Smith. Pert leading the championship from John Jones by 15 points at the moment. The championship leader in the Supersport Boxsters is still Rick Styron, believe it or not. We haven't seen him since Brands Hatch, but he had a very good Brands Hatch. Nick Hull, though, is only about 3.5 points behind Gary Lawrence, another 5 points down on him. So we could see Nick Hull here take the championship lead, and he's in blue. When drop scores are applied, things work out slightly differently, but for the moment we'll go on the total points scored as they go up the mountain. That is a superb piece of racetrack in any race car, and I vaguely remember Rick Styron telling me that's one of the key points on the circuit for him, racing in these Boxsters. On board with Lee Bowden again. So this is the old hairpin, short straight, then they've got another right turn, slightly downhill now, very much downhill once they get through Barn, which is the last corner on track, bringing them down onto the home straight. Pit entrance there on the right hand side. Quick wipe of the screen as they head up towards the first turn on the lap, which is Coppice. That's a left-hander, hence pole position here being on the outside of the track. And Andrew Porter here, having bagged his first pole position in the championship, could well be on for his first win. Looking very, very good at the moment. So Porter going to be interesting to see how things go on as in this 20-minute race the circuit begins to dry out. See well how the settings work out for everybody, but it's still Porter from Bowden, then Nick Hull in the blue 44 car, PDA chairman, followed by Gary Lawrence running in fourth. Gary picking up his first win in the championship in race 3 at Snetterton, had a retirement, but for that, and probably on drop scores, would be the ahead of Nick Hull on the points. But Andrew Porter, this is the view he wants very much. Blue sky, clear circuit. It's definitely drying out here. That sudden downpour that we had has moved away, replaced by sunshine. The best thing possible to dry the track out. A lot of people do like a wet race. Look at Nick Hull coming under a bit of pressure from Gary Lawrence. The gearbox issues, the gear selection issues he had, very clearly have gone away now because he's challenging his friend and rival Nick Hull very closely here. And those first few laps, I think he's found out that the car is very much to his liking. Lee Bowden again, the race leader. Andrew Porter not getting away by too much at the present time. So they'll come out of the shade and in the sunshine. You can see the shady areas of the circuit will take that little bit longer to dry out. Now, having said Gary Lawrence was closing up on Nick Hull, Nick getting away from him again at the minute, so the gap seesawing between third and fourth position. And a decent gap, although having said that, he's closed up and goes through at Coppice and through round into Charlie's corner. The confidence was obviously building there from Gary Lawrence in the car, and he goes through on the inside line and passes Nick Hull. So Nick down to fourth place. He'll look to try and pull back from that fairly obviously, but the two leaders, now is there too much of an advantage here over Gary Lawrence in the third place car? We are still in the early stages of this race. We're only 5 minutes in, so around about a quarter distance here at Cadwell Park for round 6 of the championship. 2 races at Brands Hatch to kick things off. Then we had the triple header, the first of our triple headers at Snetterton, and this weekend once again a triple header. Gary Lawrence still trying to close in. Now he's got the confidence of that first win in the Formula. It was a wee while coming, but he'll feel that he will have the pace to be able to catch these two out front who are starting to get embroiled in a battle, and that may well help Gary Lawrence as Lee Bowden looks to the inside line as they climb up the mountain. You don't very often see passes there, but Lee Bowden having a very good go. Bowden does have racing form here at Cadwell Park, obviously raced in the production class back in, well, last year, 2018, and was the lone runner on that occasion. So he has got some Cadwell Park experience in boxsters, albeit in that production category, which at the moment doesn't have any drivers, but I'm sure we'll see some coming up before the end of the year. Bowden working hard. Last year, incidentally, it was a hat-trick for Adam Southgate. Gavin Johnson, the man to beat last year in the 924s here, with Hugh Pert taking a win as well. So Hugh's got a little bit of form as well. Andrew Porter still there. He's had a consistent season so far. Opened up with 2 fourth places at Brands Hatch, a 5th, 2nd and 4th. So mixed bag at Snetterton. Has a look as they go into Park Corner at the inside line. That will compromise his exit speed. He might have to regroup and try and close in again, and it looks as if Gary Lawrence is closing the gap slightly over these two now in third. And if Lawrence gets embroiled, what you might see is a battle for second place, and that may well allow Andrew Porter in the race lead to get away. But at the moment, this is far from finished, and again the 16 car has regrouped and looks down the inside line here. A little bit of contact. Well, what is it they say, faint heart never kissed a pig. You've got to have a go, and Lee did that. Thankfully it didn't dislodge the leader off track, but Bowden's lost momentum, and Gary Lawrence saw that. He pounces and goes through into second place and is very much closer to the leader. So the battling did draw them together as Bowden looks on the inside line. What a move by Lee Bowden to fight back. Superb racing from Bowden and Gary Lawrence. They're giving each other on. Around he goes too early on the gas, and a gyration for the 16 car. Gary Lawrence has to check up so that no damage is done, but goes through Well, Lee Bowden was a man on a mission as he repassed Gary Lawrence. Oh, and again he's on the gas and spins around. You can see that part of the track is going to be so slippery because of the overhang of the trees. You can see that there's barely a drying line there, and I think the adrenaline was kicking in for Lee Bowden, having been challenging for the lead and then wanted to get second place back, and this has left Andrew Porter in a very comfortable position out front at the moment. Let's have a look back and see, well, the back of shot, can't see at the minute where Gary Lawrence is. So this is all good news at the moment for Andrew Porter, our race leader, who has got clear track ahead of him, clear track behind him as well. And this potentially turning his first pole position into a potential first race win with this championship. So Andrew will be delighted about that. He's got John Jones immediately ahead of him in the 924 category. John picking up some useful points again. And John second in the 924 championship. There is our leader, Gary Lawrence, not that far behind. You can see him in shot. Here's the view from Hugh Pert. The leader in the 924s is Peter Smith. Great to see Peter back out with us. And John Jones finds himself about to be passed. He's running third, the red 924, the black 924 there. Peter Smith in the number 18 is the class leader from Hugh Pert. He's trying to close in. Hugh would dearly love to grab another win here at Cadwell Park. They're going to have to fix the graphics on that after the end of the race, but the 18 car looking in fine fettle at the minute after securing pole position. But of course it was Hugh Pert that got away in lead position at the start. Pert with a decent championship lead over John Jones at the minute. Chris Valentine is joint third with Andy Pritchard in the championship, so a little bit of work to do for Pete Smith to catch up in terms of the overall championship standings for the 924s. Gary Lawrence still there at the moment, running in second place and starting to close down. He is getting quicker, Gary Lawrence. So lap time's slightly better than Andrew Porter. Andrew knows he had the pole position time. I always refer back to what drivers have done in qualifying, but Gary Lawrence knows he had those issues with the gear selection, so he knows there's a little bit more to come, and he is closing down on the leader. The gap is being chipped away by Gary Lawrence here, and Gary was fourth, remember, off the start, so this has been no mean feat from him to try and close down. Here's Lee Bowden running in third place. Nick Hull is going to be behind him. Nick Hull, by my maths here, will take the championship lead and move on to 85 points. Andrew Porter, the race leader, still here though. We'll do the maths in a minute, but look at Gary Lawrence, he's all over him now, and Lawrence must feel that it's going to be a matter of time before he goes past, because he's caught up a huge amount. We join Porter going up the mountain. This is where we saw Lee Bowden repassing Gary Lawrence earlier on. Now Lawrence has caught, so I'm guessing he will think that he's got time to work out perhaps where the weak spots are with Andrew Porter. It might be, oh, the back end, was the back end coming around there? No, looks okay. That was the old hairpin into Barn Corner now. If you get a good run out of here, the potential to maybe go around the outside line. No, Gary Lawrence is too far back at the moment to think about making a move, but this is where he managed to catch up and pass Nick Hull earlier on in the race. Porter goes into Coppice. Line perfect at the moment. Lawrence does close up again through Coppice and coming round into Charlie's Corner, so it might be Park Straight, which can be a favourite place to make a pass. And you can see Lawrence is beginning to build momentum and close up. This is also the part of the track with the drying line. Because there's a dry line, it means that Gary Lawrence might have to come offline in order to make a pass. And you can see very slightly defensive there is that 33 car. And that's going to allow Gary Lawrence in the green number 3 just to close in once again. On board with the race leader, Andrew Porter. Can't see behind at this stage, but we know that Gary Lawrence is there, winner of the third race at Snetterton. Had a retirement in race 2 and was second in race number 1. Porter down through Mansfield, and then down towards the bus stop. And Gary Lawrence here going wide. If he was near enough, he might try and move around the outside. That's been done before. I'm not sure in Boxsters, but what it does do is give him a wide line into the mounting complex, gives him a bit more momentum as he goes up the hill, and this could be building up to a move a little bit further round the lap. He's certainly all over the back of the 33 car now, so very clearly a fight for the lead here in round 6 of the championship. Porter goes through the old hairpin. You really get the nature of that corner from our onboard, the fact that it is tight. From the outfield cameras, you can't really see this is tight. It is. And again, well, I tell you what, Porter here is doing a very good job. He's got away from Lawrence in that last sector of the lap, crosses the line, and is still clear of Gary Lawrence. We've still got Lee Bowden running in third, Nick Hull in fourth place, Peter Smith still leading the 924s ahead of Hugh Pert and John Jones. Everybody's still running, and Andrew Porter here potentially looking like a first time win for him here, despite the very best efforts of Gary Lawrence, who has got to build up again, heading into the part of the track where it looked as if Porter was slightly the quicker. But one thing you know about Gary Lawrence is that he's a great character. The other thing you know about him is that he's a great fighter, and has closed the gap to within half a car's length as they exit Chris Curve, heading down towards the gooseneck. Here we go, on board with Porter once again, coming down into Mansfield, and Lawrence is all over the back of him now, goes one way then the other. This is Mansfield corner. Porter will go wide. Let's keep our eyes open either side of the card to see whether Lawrence is coming through, and he is there on the left-hand side. Gary Lawrence goes through, saw the gap, built the momentum up on that part of the lap, and goes through into the lead. He's on the dry spot there. Can he hold on to it? Porter might do a Bowden and have a look back up the inside line. But I tell you what, Lawrence was wise to that from earlier on from his fellow competitor, and retains the lead. So Gary Lawrence has the lead of round 6 of the championship, and he's potentially heading for a second career win. And now the onboard from Andrew Porter's car, far from being clear circuit, he's got his rival in front of him, and you can see now he's got spray on this part of the track coming up, flicking up into his face as Gary Lawrence goes down the straight and crosses the line now onto the last lap of the race. This is lap 10. So a penultimate lap pass, but Andrew Porter won't be finished yet either. The pole position man will want to fight back, but Gary Lawrence has come through from 4th on the grid. Chipped away, worked hard, had that great tussle with Lee Bowden, and then had to work so hard to close down on Andrew Porter. This has been a fascinating opening race of the weekend for the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship. Once again, the view from Andrew Porter. Lee Bowden still running in third. Nick Hull is in 4th place. This is also going to put Gary Lawrence into 2nd position on total scores in the championship, and it will move him to within 1.5 points of Nick Hull, because Nick is running in 4th place, so he's closing in. As I said, the drop score's separate. I haven't got time to work those out. And my maths isn't that great, to be perfectly honest, but we are only 3 events into the season, and they will come into play probably for me when we get to Anglesey in August. But Gary Lawrence is on the last half lap here at Cadwell Park over Andrew Porter. For Porter, this will match the 2nd place finish that he had in race 2 at Snetterton, so it's another podium for him in the Supersport boxers, and he still hasn't given up, because we're going through the Hall bends. Here's the old hairpin now, gets very close to Gary Lawrence, has a nibble up the inside line. Lawrence comes across on the brakes, grabs the racing line in, partly defensive. Oh, and on the gas goes the 33 car. Porter was chasing hard, has a gyration, I think, should be able to recover. Gary Lawrence is rightly delighted after the problems in qualifying. Andrew Porter, a hard-earned 2nd position after that spin, recovers well. He'd worked so hard in that race to build up that gap. Hugh Pert, meanwhile, is 2nd in the 924s. Here comes the race winner. Peter Smith wins on his return to the championship in the 924s. The result is as follows. Gary Lawrence, the winner from Andrew Porter, Lee Bowden and Nick Hull, with the 924s won by Peter Smith from Hugh Pert and John Jones. Fastest lap, Gary Lawrence in the Boxsters, Peter Smith in the 924s.
Well, that was a little bit interesting with the with the changing conditions. Start though, that wasn't probably your best.
Not as planned. No. Got off the line all right, and just span up, kept spinning and spinning. So yeah, Hugh was off then, so it made it a bit difficult. Track conditions were probably the worst you can get because the drying track. So you've got patches that are completely wet, patches that are drying up, completely dry patches. So every lap's different. You know, you've got to sort of, keep your brain in gear. So it was difficult. And Hugh, when I got past Hugh, was right with me the whole way. So we had a great battle, great race. And with those conditions, it was keeping it out of the barriers is quite important around Cadwell because it's pretty tight. So.
Well, keeping it off the grass really is particularly in these conditions is the most important thing. Tomorrow should be dry. Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. Nice sticky track. That'll do. Yeah, definitely.